We told him not to do it. I mean, I'm just saying, it wasn't our fault. Mind you, I'm not saying it was really their fault either. The sirens. In the end, it was all just Dave. God, Dave. I guess I should start at the beginning. It was Saturday morning, right, and we were at Dave's. That is, Adrian, Carol, Lau, and me. We'd spent the night and we were staying over again because it's the first week of summer and all, and we were watching the show, you know, House Bells, since it got discontinued right before the series finale and they were doing a final rerun. We'd spent all night watching it because Dave loves that show, always going on and on. And look, I mean all night. Like, there are crisps and soda cans all around us, and my left eye is crusted shut all night. We were half asleep and we just finished season 2, and Dave's dad came with some smoothies, so we took a break, and you know, it's summer, so we got to talking about the sirens, about going to see them soon. Because it's sort of like a game, see? You know how it is. High school. It's like an Ariane summer tradition at this point. Dave's dad has the wildest stories from his time. Anyway, we always go to the lake after school ends, you know, just messing around in the forest, and we always end up daring each other to go talk to the sirens. Because there's a stretch of rocks, right? And if you walk down it, the sirens will sing to you in that weird language they have, making all these promises, trying to lure you into the lake. And you have to resist and get all the way across. It's all just some fun. They never really hurt a guy. Just drag him down, hold him for a bit until he wakes up and panics. They don't want to hurt us, and they know it's illegal anyway, so there's no harm. Well, I guess usually there's no harm. So we get to talking about the sirens. And Dave, he's always sat on the side. He's never actually done the walk. He's never really been interested in all that. But see, that day, he was off boasting. You know, Dave's always going on about himself. And he just figured out that he's asexual, right? So he was saying that he could totally resist them. And Lau calls him on it, says there's no way he can do it. And Dave goes, watch me. Well, obviously then we all got dressed and went down to the lake. And we stood to the back while Dave went up to the rocks. And he started walking. The sirens were there in seconds, as always. They were reaching up to him. Their arms are so shimmery, and their hair always looks so soft despite the water and their songs. I couldn't even understand them. Oh, their victims can, but it was so beautiful and heartbreaking, and I... Where was I? Dave. He was right. They couldn't get him. He just kept walking and grinning. He looked so smug. If I were a siren, I would have drowned him. Hell, I'm his friend and a human, and I often want to drown him. But they couldn't get him. He just walked, and he was almost at the end, cheerfully humming the Hell's Bells theme all the way. They were so confused, the sirens. I guess they hadn't encountered an asexual before. I guess most asexuals aren't, you know, Dave. They all left, one by one, and they looked mad, because they always win the game. And then this new one came up. He'd been hanging at the back mostly, just watching, but now he came right up to the dock, all confident. And he started to sing, only it sounded kind of different somehow. And Dave stopped. Stopped dead, just a few feet from the end, and stared at this guy. And then I blinked, and there was a splash, and Dave and the siren were gone. Lau started laughing, like clutching his sides and howling laughing. I mean, we all love Dave, but it's always nice to see him get his due. But they were gone for a long time, longer than usual, and we started to get worried. And then this siren comes bursting out of the water, waving her arms and screaming in regular human language about Dave and weeds. I didn't really know what was going on, but I saw Lau streak to the rocks and jump in, and a bit later he came back with Dave, who was unconscious, and Rafi, the siren from before. Man, and we always made fun of Lau for taking that school CPR course seriously. Once Dave was breathing again, Rafi told us that he hadn't really been paying attention, too busy lording his win over the others, and he swam right into the water weeds and got all tangled up with Dave. So, you see, it really was an accident. Now that I think about it, That's exactly the sort of dumb thing Dave would do. Maybe that's why we all got on so well with Ruffy. We're having a lake picnic with him next weekend, in fact. He's part of the squad now. Anyway, by the time he finished, Dave woke up, and we all gathered around him, Kieran and Adrian both yelling over each other and Lau just glaring silently, and I asked him just what Ravi had promised him. And Dave, God, Dave, looks me dead in the eyes, coughs up some lake water, and says, Hell's Bells series finale.